Hey, I'm Andy Aledort. In this edition of In Deep, I'd like to talk about harmonizing within major pentatonic. Pairs of strings, adjacent strings, so thirds and fourths primarily, as opposed to getting into non-adjacent strings, and sixths, which is another good thing to do. Maybe that'll be the next column. And a really fun thing to do is to take your major pentatonic scale positions, many of which I went over in the last two columns, and instead of playing them as single notes, devising some patterns based on barring across strings and playing pairs of notes to get harmonized sounds. Now, Hendrix did a lot of this stuff in songs like One Rainy Wish and May This Be Love and Wind Cries Mary. There's so many songs where he used two-note harmonies. That style of guitar, especially for rhythm guitar, came out of R&B and soul, Curtis Mayfield, Ike Turner, people like that. So let's take a look at that type of thing, harmonizing with two-note figures based on major pentatonic. All right, let's start with E major pentatonic in this position. So let's harmonize using pairs of notes as we move down. And so what's going to happen is I'm going down the scale starting from E and starting from B at the same time. And again, this is major pentatonic. So when E goes to C sharp, B goes to G sharp. When B goes to G sharp, the F sharp is going to go to E. And then that process continues. And it can be really fun to experiment with different improvised lines. And then switch to single note. So you can mix and match your pairs of harmonized figures. And that can make for a more interesting solo. You don't have to just play single notes. You could work in those. And in the previous column, we had done some harmonized double stops based on major pentatonic. So you could, of course, traverse the neck instead of staying in a position. All right, let's go down to sixth position now, E major pentatonic. If we play this as double stops. So what you have to be careful of is where you're going to switch from a bar to notes that are fretted at different frets, one fret apart. So if I was going to improvise something in this position using double stops, it's really fun, it's easy to move around. And then you could move back into and I just thought of like Stevie Ray Vaughan's Lenny. He does a lot of that type of soloing in Lenny. Let's move down to this position now, fourth position of E major pentatonic. And if we play double stops here, so it gets a little trickier as we have more shapes that are a fret apart. got to this position, we'd have so one thing I do, instead of really trying to be rigid about making sure I'm only playing the notes from major pentatonic, sometimes sometimes when I'm soloing in double stops, I won't be so rigid about making sure I'm only going to use the major third, because it's easier sometimes to land on the fourth. I'll show you what I mean. Like in this position, I might be going, but it goes by so quickly that you wouldn't even necessarily notice. And it actually sounds kind of nice for that second. To have that fourth in there, it's a little less predictable.